Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Supernova Astrology Update for March 17th through 24th, 2025. Wow, here we are coming up to the March equinox, right in between the eclipses. And so, smack dab in the middle of eclipse season, it's a very strange place because we have Mars now direct, ready to rumble, moving through the end degrees of Cancer, fighting again for what's right and good and true. And yet we have Mercury and Venus both retrograde in Aries. So it's a dramatic play of events as this week the sun moves over into Aries. That's the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere. And it's the beginning of astrological spring. So Pisces is the death. And to have all these planets going back and forth over this, what we call the Aries point, 0 degrees Aries, which is kind of like outside of time, must mean that we're reworking time, And so if, is this the beginning of the Aquarian age for real? And it does appear that that's happening because one of the things that's going on with Venus and Mercury and Venus both retrograde at the same time is intense. But the way that it's playing out is so interesting and dynamic that it's a confirmation that these retrogrades are us adjusting. Go back and forth, around about, up, down, all the points in between to get to the next place where we're going. And it does feel like we've been going in circles, doesn't it? And maybe that's the thing, like that Mayan conception of time, of looking at it as concentric circles, and we're kind of in the place where a lot is happening, a lot is lining up, and that's what this incredible play of the planets. Let's talk it through. So Venus and Mercury are both retrograde, and they came together for their first conjunction on the 12th of March. They'll have another conjunction from the 31st of March to April 4th about, and then another conjunction from April 6th to 8th as they do this dance. It's 1 foot forward, 2 steps back, and the do-si-do of Mercury and Venus starting their retrograde 1 degree apart, right? Venus at 10 degrees Aries, Mercury at 9 degrees Aries, retrograding back to 2 degrees apart. So it's very powerful because 1, 2, 3, and that's the number of creation, of power. And this is what Venus, the empowerment of our divine feminine, is all about, taking back our creation power. So what's going on is that this week, Venus and Mercury, well, first Venus will be coming into, and Venus and Mercury kind of going apart and then coming back together. Mercury turned retrograde on the 15th, and so Mercury is now at 9 degrees, 8 degrees, Venus at 6, moving to 5. And so they're kind of in this play together. And so they're both coming up into a sextile with Pluto as they go backwards. And so this will be the second time that they sextile Pluto. And this happens with Venus, the 21st and the 22nd. So right here for the equinox energies. And then for Mercury, it's the 26th, and that's getting close to the next eclipse, which is on the 27th, the Aries new moon solar eclipse at 9 degrees exactly Aries. And 9 degrees, 9 is the number of completion, but Aries is the beginning of the zodiac. So again, it's just endings and beginnings and endings and beginnings. And it's really powerful to have the sun this time of year when the sun moves over into Aries. It's like, a new start. It's really our spring. It's really the new year. And then, but this year, we've got Venus and Mercury just about to go back into Pisces over that point again. And it's like, oh, no, rebirth this time. And maybe it's no rebirth right now because we're not going to do it the way we've been doing it. Those patterns have to die, right? Because it's the end degrees of Pisces. So it's the dark end, the dark death of the story of the darkest time that we can really relate to, having, you know, being recent, and supernova souls having past lives in the Piscean age of spiritual persecution. So this is a big part of what is getting cleaned up with the South Node in Virgo. And the South Node is what's karmically holding us back. And Virgo is a sign of healers, healing, cleaning it up, sorting it out, discriminating, organizing, rebirthing, and harvesting. So that's the energy of, but it's around the earth. Virgo's an earth sign, and it's incredibly, the cleanup is about our spiritual alignment, and that has to do with the North Node. So the North Node and Neptune are right there at the end degrees of Pisces, and so Mercury and Venus went over them one time. They're going to go right back over them, and they're not that far apart. North Node and Neptune stay close through, I think, into April. And so the North Node and Neptune is about, our only way forward is by reclaiming our true spiritual identity. And that's really what we're feeling, our true spiritual path, I should say. But our spiritual identity, who we are as advanced beings, this is really, the pressure is on around this in this eclipse season, because we've got the sun going over the North Node and Neptune, the sun in Pisces, going over the North Node on the 18th. So having the eclipse, the new moon eclipse, is at 9 degrees, and then, or um, on the 18th, sorry, we have the equinox on Earth. So the sun goes over the North Node on the 18th, and then the equinox on the 19th, and then the sun conjunction Neptune on the 20th. And so it's, this spring is a full alignment with the, all of it happens together because Neptune is right there at 29 degrees of Pisces. And so Neptune moving over to Aries, that happens on the 31st of March, is huge. Neptune's been in the sign of Pisces since 2011. So all of this is pointing to the end of the end, the beginning of the beginning, and a new birth. You know, that Aries point is a new birth. So a new birth for our spiritual path. So we're getting out of the Piscean age, but we've got to reclaim the mysteries, miracles, and magic. And what the mysteries, miracles, and magic of the Piscean age have to do with is Christ consciousness. And that is simply the truth of human evolution, spiritual evolution. And coming into wholeness and autonomy in our energy field, you know, as sovereign beings. And that is really the energy of the Aries point. Okay, it's like a rebirth into wholeness. And so for us supernova souls, this is about the landing home of who we really are, like really coming into our life being who we really are. And we don't know who we are, but this is kind of the deal, is that the sun going over Neptune in the North Node and the Aries point is like a rebirth of who you really are in your true spiritual self. And that's the only way forward. And so we don't know who we are in our whole spiritual self. But the Aries is the I am, okay? The Aries is the whole conception. At conception, we're whole and complete. And that's what the Aries point is. So we're going back and forth over this conception point of 0 point, you know, where just before you came into this, say, this incarnation, and at the time of conception, you were whole and complete. You were a being with power, with light. Bam. Have you seen it? When the sperm hits the egg, there is a flash of light. This is who we are. It's written right there. And now it's time for us to be the big flash of light that this world needs, you know? And that's what this is. This is a calling card home from mom, with Mars getting direct in Cancer, to get to work on who we really are, on our true spiritual path. And I know we've been waiting and waiting for this time, and it's kind of like, you've been saying that for quite a while, but this is what the stars are saying. So it's powerful that the sun is going to go over the North Node, Neptune, and the Aries point, and then Mercury and Venus are going to go over. So the sun is going to hit Venus on the 23rd, and then uh, Mercury on the 25th. And those will be at 2 degrees Aries and 4 degrees Aries. It's like so exciting. You feel the Aries energy. It's like impatient, anxious, like, and it's intense because Mars is in Cancer, and the ruler of Aries direct now and wanting to go, you know? So there's just this like nervous system overwhelm. We've also got Uranus very activated in all of this. And so um, just keep breathing, keep loving. We're also just changing our DNA, healing at a rapid pace. And so just breathe in the breath of life and tell yourself that you're hydrated and oxygenated. Tell the waters of your body, because they are the mother. We are the mother. We are her body. She's our body. And so we've got to start caring for our body in a conscious way with intention. It's not that you have to go and be perfect. It's that right now, when I drink my water, I'm going to be present with her and say the messages and be present with the love that I feel for all the waters of the earth. You know, that might be health, and that took like 2 seconds. You know, so yeah, let's talk to the waters. It's so powerful. And that might be Mars's message coming in Cancer, being like, hey, I went down on the ground, she saved me again, like she always was there the whole time, and she just wants me to keep talking with her. And that's being in communication with the waters of our body, and our intuition and our emotions, and finally listening to the intuitive voice again. Supernova souls, how can we expect the world to listen to the intuitive voice if we won't even listen to it in our own body? So this is our challenge, to get fully in alignment, and that was into the rebirth of who we really are in our bigger self, land home and see, grab a hold of that Aries I am dream of the whole being, you know, the whole autonomous being, the God self, the robe of light, you know, and perhaps living at that place of conception, right? Living in from that wholeness, completeness. Mom's got you. Like everything is handled and divinely orchestrated and beautiful, and we just have to get into alignment, you know. So that's a lot of the messages of this new timeline, because if we really are going from everything working against her and healing and the feminine and the creation energy, now everything is going to be about supporting. So now what's going to happen here is that, you know, it's going to be a really weird, glitchy time, because we still have Venus and Mercury in Aries. And so Venus will move back into Pisces on the 28th. And that's very powerful. And then Mercury will join the end degrees of Pisces. So we have the sun there right now, you know, for these last couple of days through tomorrow, through the equinox. I hope you can join the equinox soul group session. Please come be a part of it. What a beautiful time together in these incredible, amazing energies to rebirth the supernova soul. So information to sign up for that is below. It's in a group intuitive reading looking at shared past life pictures. And so it would be wonderful to have you with us for that. And if you can't make it to the live time, definitely you can catch the replay at any time if your intention is there and you join the energy, the messages, those past life pictures, it's all going to fit. You know, it's all going to work. And so when you show up and do this work and overcome the blocks that we have that are in the world of everything we're talking about, is blocking all this, and show up and do this work, it is such a gift to all of the supernova souls out there that don't even know they're supernova souls, or can't show up in for one reason or another to do this level of work. I am personally so appreciative of this supernova army and I reach out to you, and I know you reach out to me, and we reach out to each other, and it's a very beautiful thing. So thank you so much for being a part of something amazing, and coming into these events and showing up, being present. And even if you can't be there live replay or at all, energetically receiving the supernova gifts of these insights that come when we come together. So cool. So really powerful next couple of days here, as we've got this Venus sextile. We got the equinox and Venus sextile Pluto, and going back into Pisces, Mercury sextile Pluto, going back into Pisces, the new moon eclipse on the 27th. So it's a strange time. At the same time, Mars is climbing out of his retrograde and in square to Chiron. So the main energy we're feeling, because all this other stuff I'm talking about is la ti da, let's dance together, sextiles and conjunctions and like woo, you know. Um, the only square we have right now is Mars square Chiron. And so that's what we're feeling really intensely. And we're in the middle of it. Mars was square with Chiron at the beginning of February, and we'll come back into square. Oh, where it's coming right up here on the 24th. So that makes sense. So next week, that's the main energy from the 24th to the 30th. Mars in his third and final square to Chiron, which is about taking back our energy from where we've given it away. Because Chiron is in Aries. The wounds, Chiron is our deepest wounds. And so our deepest wounds in Aries is about the life force, the creation, the wholeness, the I am, the connection to God, right? That's what 0 degrees Aries is. It's direct connection to source, and don't tell me otherwise. I will live it, I will breathe it, I will demonstrate it, you know? And so it's really powerful for us because that's our makeover, supernova souls, right? Is this full, total commitment to the spiritual truth of who we are. And that's what this astrology is playing out. It means healing the healer, South Node in Virgo. But Mars square Chiron from the 24th to the 30th, and the influence of that we'll be feeling it all the way through the first week of April. And so it's really intense because as our only square with all these other dances going on, there's quite a dance coming for the first of all, the one dance I'm talking about, we got that Neptune North Node dance. We got Mars square Chiron, but also trine Saturn for the same amount of time, pretty much, all the way even longer in April till the 19th of April. Mars trine Saturn in a water trine between, you know, Mars and Cancer. These are the malefic planets. They call them bad, you know, but it's not true. They've been taken over and misunderstood and misaligned, and that's what we're doing. We're structuring it back to the original dream. And so Mars, having just gone back to that sensitive place of coming back to the feminine, to the mother's arms, to the vulnerability of the power of vulnerability and the strength of knowing that she is your mast in the storm. And then in trine to Saturn in Pisces, working, reworking, magic, getting the Piscean age, like getting Saturn worked out so that we can get out of the Piscean age, you know? So it's pure magic. And then we've got, you know, North Node Neptune. It's like a full direction towards our spiritual purpose. And the other thing we have in the backdrop is Saturn in sextile to Uranus. Okay. And so that means you know, Mars is in an inconjunct to Uranus, but since Mars is in trine to Saturn, they're all talking to each other. So Uranus is really activated in Taurus and in direct coming into the end degrees of Taurus as well. So we're coming into the message around our permission for our higher faculties, our higher intuitive, for the embodiment of these intuitive wisdom and knowledge, which is light. And so in this case, because Taurus represents our self-worth and our permission, our havingness, our, you know, that says that we have not had self-worth for, you know, what this time is about is healing, not having self-worth for our own higher power, you know. And we have been just so programmed with fear, so traumatized, like no wonder, but we're working through it, right? That's Saturn sextile Uranus. We're working through it. We got this. And like new timeline, get rid of those rings and the black cube, and we're gonna like rework it into the Christ consciousness light body shit, you know, we're gonna like, but it is quite intense to go from one direction to completely to the other direction, right? Where everything's working against you to now everything's gonna support spirituality. Is this the glitchy back and forth? Like, and if you're paying attention, you know, everybody else is just kind of going, riding the waves. But if you're paying attention, there's like a trail I'm seeing, like a pier out of the woods, out of the jungle, you know, and it's kind of a ladder, old ancient rocks, up to a pyramid, right? And we can just kind of step up into a whole different reality if we're really paying attention right now. That's kind of the energy. So Saturn sextile Uranus, can't let it make it work for you by manipulating reality through beginning to understand, not manipulating, that's not the right word. It's inviting alignment with the truth, the mother, that can support you in your manifestations finally. Because it's all in line with her. It always has been. You always have been. Your heart has always been in the right place. And thank you for your service, her work. You've been doing the mother's work lifetime after lifetime. It's about time you got paid for that shit in a big way. Like, everything you've always wanted beyond your wildest dreams. And maybe that's part of healing the healers, the redemption of these peoples that have been so, mistreated. Those that are in a female body as healers, but, representing the feminine as healers, as psychics, as truth tellers, as lovers, as, it's like, these wrongs must be righted. And that's part of this Virgo energy of cleaning up their earth and coming into true justice. And that's the energy. One thing that's really interesting we should talk about, because Black Moon Lilith is at the end degrees of Libra, 28 degrees, moving to 29 degrees this week. And on the 28th of March, this is the other thing that's happening right at the end of the month. So that Neptune going over back into Pisces and conjuncting Venus going back over into Pisces, conjuncting Neptune, and Black Moon Lilith moving into Scorpio. Okay, so I feel like these energies are, because Black Moon Lilith at the end of Libra now is about like the darkness of there's been no justice on the mistreatment from these abusive relationships. South Node Libra is control-based relationships. Now, when Black Moon Lilith here at the next couple of days, this next week at the end at 29, it's like a culmination of the darkest part of the lack of true justice, and also relationships and control-based, just the control of humanity, really. It's really coming up. It's like, we can't continue as slaves. And now that we know we've been consciousness slaves and they've been stealing our emotional energy, we're not going to do it anymore. Have you noticed that? It's a little bit easier not to get so triggered, and you can notice the trigger right away and be like, I just don't have the energy to respond. And you just took back your luge. That's just the name they call the energy they feed on from us, trying to keep us in constant fear and drama and trauma. And if we all just went really super happy and joy, they would just like blip out of existence, for a certain amount of time. So here we go, supernovas. We got to claim back this joy. This is huge because Aries is just childlike joy, just like exuberance, right? It's taking back exuberance in our life and our energy, our access to creation energy, to healing energy, to life, our manifestation energy. And I have talked to quite a few supernova souls who have had, the evidence is coming in, preliminary evidence that have had absolutely nothing work for them for so long and even work against them, and having little manifestations and miracles pop through just so easy and effortless. So may you be blessed. These are the miracles that we're reclaiming, right? Our ability to align and say, in my alignment, this is a celebration of that, and plop, So we're going to be kind of, and maybe that's why we have to go back and forth too, because we have to completely rework our relationship to physical form with Saturn. So that's kind of the powerful thing that's happening. Okay, so Black Moon Lilith moving into Scorpio at the end of the month is Black Moon Lilith is the deepest, darkest secrets. It's associated with the 12th house. It's like in our chart, it's what has been deepest hidden, and it could be like something deeply that wronged you, or it could be like a wrong you were involved in, or a wrong towards the mother, or a wrong that you did inadvertently, And so it's just got this shame, and a lot of the times the feminine, because it has to do with creation energy, persecution of creation energy. And so moving to Scorpio is like tuned in and tapped into the creation energy, right? Like it wants to move. And Black Moon Lilith is, so we've got it, we're going to be, so there's a lot of energy for moving the darkness, disclosure of dark truths, facing the darkness. And that is starting at the end of March. And the same time that Neptune, Venus, Neptune, and then Mercury catches up, all coming together, and then to the North Node, and then to Saturn. So Mercury, so the Mercury and Venus, just say from their retrograde, the first transit, sextile Pluto, magical solutions to reworking to try to get into the Aquarian age, break down what needs to be broken down to get to the Aquarian age. And then we've got back over the Aries point, right? So we need an activation of the Aquarian age, a new rebirth, and then Neptune, our spiritual purpose for humanity, and the Christ consciousness timeline, and then the North Node, our only direction forward that we can go, our true north, and then Saturn. Okay, so Mercury and Venus are not, or let's see, Venus catches up to Saturn, but Mercury does not quite catch up to Saturn, but very, very close, just a couple degrees away. And so it's like Mercury and Venus are teasing Saturn, like, come on, we're going to do it this way. And Black Moon Lilith is in Scorpio, like getting out from all the the shame and distortion of creation energy and just letting it flow again and overcoming the shame, just dropping all those stories. Because it really comes down to shame. When we come down to trying to come back in our hearts to the loving mother energy that's available to us, that's so beautiful, what really blocks us is a feeling of shame and unworthiness. Right? And I think that might be connected to what Uranus is discovering at the end degrees of Taurus, that it's around our higher power, right? Because we were persecuted, we were set up in Atlantean time, framed, blamed, targeted, and punished again and again and again. And are we done being punished now? Like, realize we're higher beings. We got trapped by reptilians and they turned off our third eye. And so we're under their control until we turn our third eye back on, but they've done a million and one things to try to get our third eye to turn off, and keep it turned off. So once we turn it on, then we can just laser. It's just our light is like a laser kind of eraser for them. Let's go, so this is where we're at, and this is what the astrology is saying. And so that says, so coming up to this Aries new moon solar eclipse, that's on Thursday, March 27th at 9 degrees. It's early in the morning. We're going to be having, so that I think, actually, I'm not sure exactly what time it is, but in most of the world, it's Thursday, March 27th, I believe. And for that eclipse that happens on the 27th, we have got, we're heading into this whole period of time in April where Venus and Mercury will meet up in exact trine to Mars and Saturn. So Venus, Mercury, Saturn starting to come together in Pisces in trine to Mars and sextile to Uranus. So it's just magic is afoot. And so this is also really intense time because we've got that third and final Mars square Chiron. And then after that, Mars is going to come into his third and final square with Black Moon Lilith. And that one will be with Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. So Mars in Leo, out of retrograde shadow, in square with Black Moon Lilith, very powerful. And or I don't know if he'll be out of retrograde shadow exactly. I'll have to look, but he will go back to, he retrograded at 6 degrees Leo. So Mars has to make it all the way through Cancer. Mars is at 19, going to make it to 21 degrees this week. And then has to make it to 6 degrees Leo before it he comes out of retrograde shadow and we move into new territory. And he moves into Leo on the 19th of April and comes out of retrograde shadow, I believe, in May. I don't have it right in front of me, or do I? Oh, yeah, no, May 26th. So we have quite a journey here that we've been on. And Venus and Mercury retrograde now, zigzagging from the old to the new. So just remember that we're going back and forth from the old to the new. And that we're coming up to this very powerful alignment. The second eclipse is not as exact as the first eclipse. 9 degrees Aries is 18 degrees away from where the I mean 10 degrees. So it's still an eclipse, right? It's within 10 degrees, but pretty not exactly close to the nodes of the moon, which makes an exact eclipse. But the planets are lining up exactly for this eclipse, right after this eclipse. And so the eclipse season goes into that Libra full moon, and 2 weeks after, so that's about in the 13th, 14th of April. And so that's when the eclipse season will be complete, because that's you have to wait, one more cycle after. We're still going to be the energy of eclipse season for the next 3 weeks. And so we'll just kind of sort that out as we go. And then the retrograde season continues as well. So we've got this, and the main energy this week is the sun coming up to the North Node and Neptune. Who are we in our true spiritual purpose? We're not just here to live in a meat suit and exist. Like, we're so much more. And the sun going over the North Node and Neptune, that's really what it's about. And it's so perfect for also this this equinox energy of rebirth. And so I hope you can join us. And because right after that, so the equinox is on the 19th, 20th, and right after that, then we have the sun hitting Venus and the sun hitting Mercury. And so it's like, bam, bam, who are we in our spiritual identity as humans? And then in Aries, a rebirth. What's the feminine in our wholeness? What's our mind in our wholeness? And I'll tell you what, they need to be free. Maybe Mars just set himself free because he went home to mom and cried in the dirt. Mercury and Venus need to be set free. The feminine needs to be set free. Our mind needs to be set free, because we have been under some massive mind control, all of us. And it's just like, so that's a lot of the Mars square Chiron too, is just get free of all of the things that have been keeping us from being in our power. So the sun going over Venus and Mercury is very powerful at 2 degrees and 4 degrees, establishing a partnership, establishing something new. It's all about this alchemy, because think about it. Alchemists, ancient alchemists, it was all about trying to join together the elements of fire and water. So here we have Mercury and Venus going over the Aries point 3 times each. So water, fire, water, fire, and then each of them doing that, water, fire. And then also Neptune is doing that at the end of the month. Saturn is going to do it next month. And then we also have the nodes do it, going backwards in January. And so incredibly powerful. Neptune will be transiting back over the Aries point, and then finally in January of 2026, moving into Aries for good. So we are dancing on the edge of the old and the new, and just be patient with yourself, because it feels that you'll be in a loop where you're like, oh my God, I'm in a Matrix movie. It's the exact same thing with different players and different colors, but same shapes. And oh man, am I ever going to get out of these loops? And the loops have to repeat so that you can jump free. You've got to see the pattern. And thank God. And this is where it's like all unfolding perfectly in this beautiful divine expression. And when we're in alignment with Mother, it's like, oh, this is all I can, it's hard to see right now. This is all for my most beautiful good, my unfoldment, like I'm coming closer to her and to you, to myself, to, to the truth. And so it's all unfolding perfectly. I'm seeing that what an incredible gift this experience is, no matter how excruciatingly painful and scary. So this is what we're doing, because if you didn't see the pattern, you couldn't appreciate getting out of it or even find your way out. And there's just all these sextiles, Saturn sextile Uranus, and the sextiles between that will be happening between um, Saturn and Uranus, and Venus and Uranus, Mercury. So Venus, Mercury, and Saturn all in. And right now we are having, Saturn is just coming into a sextile with Uranus, or that we talked about, yeah, the sextile with Uranus. And so also Mars is in sextile to Uranus. And so those sextiles are dynamic and magical and powerful. And so we've got reworking of the masculine and coming home to mom, and sextile to owning our higher power. And then we've got Mercury, Venus, Saturn. Saturn is coming, no longer the judge, you know. Saturn is the loving God again, and the wholeness and the support and just presence, and the just a beautiful, more plasma like reality, not so concrete jungle, you know. And so Saturn's coming with all that, and they're all in trine to Mars, and then right in between them in Taurus, that beautiful sextile, both sextile to Uranus. So we're unlocking the power of our higher self, overcoming the fear, overcoming the authority, and standing up in as the light and the spiritual beings that we are, reborn into that full, true human potential. And this massive manifestation, this energy that's coming is abundant. Okay, so be in the energy, like as much as you can, being in the energy of what I like to call Mother's Garden, where I know it's abundant and she's caring for me and she's caring for those around me. And I can feel the energy, I can generate the energy, I can love the energy, I can appreciate the energy. The animals really appreciate the energy, the children love the energy. And so you're generating this energy too, and it's about time you were appreciated for that. And so thank you so much again for doing the mother's work, and keep it up. We're going to make it. We're doing it. So I hope that you can consider joining some of these events we have, because this week, on tomorrow, Wednesday, the 19th, we've got the Equinox Soul Group session, a group intuitive session looking at shared past life pictures. It's really cool. Depends on the group who signs up. And what is our shared resonance? Something that we're all ready to learn more about who we really are. And with Neptune North Node and the Sun, oh, so powerful. And so I would love to have you there with us. And then we also have, next week, we'll be having a solar eclipse soul group session and an Aries new moon activation. So I hope you'll consider joining one of these or all of these events. It's so beautiful to have you with us, and I really appreciate your support. And thank you so much for being a part of the Supernova Soul Tribe. It means so much to me, your support, and also donations. If you have ever thought of throwing a donation, now would be a very beautiful time. And there's links to give a donation in the information box below. It is so powerful, the support of the mother right now in this time of the tide going out. And I know that we're all so spent and we're all so tired, and we've all been working so hard, and yet we're doing it. Every day you're going to start feeling better. That's what this says. We've got a major adjustment to do, but now we're moving forward in a completely new way. So hang in there and be open to the miracles of manifestation. And so thank you so much for your support, and I hope that I'll see you at one of these events, hopefully at this Equinox Soul Group session. Remember, it's live even on the replay. We're working outside of time, so come and join us in the energy, receive and offer, and be a part of the Supernova Soul Tribe. It's such a blessing to work with you and such an honor. Thank you so much for your support over these years. It means so much to me. I can't wait to see what lies ahead around this major turn, right? So it's almost like there's a major bend in the road, and yet we don't know the path. So we got to go this way, this way, this way, this way, map it out, and then we realize we've been in a big bend. But we've just been kind of feeling like we're knocking up against the walls, right? So remember that the gentle nudges of Mother helping us get on that way, that path that's going to work best for us and everyone around us to be in the blessing of this love. So thank you so much. I honor you in your service, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Happy equinox and rebirth, and I look forward to seeing you then or the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.